Here's another situation that can lead to danger. The car may have been forced off the road, or the driver may just not have been paying attention. Recovering from this situation requires special skills. Driving off the edge of the roadway, even with just one side of the vehicle, can be very risky because it can easily lead to a rollover crash. Recovering from an off-road experience can be challenging. For one thing, the surface at the side of the road may be several inches lower than the pavement. Also, the roadside surface may not be paved. If you find yourself in this situation, follow these steps. First, remain calm and keep the steering wheel pointed straight, even if you're half on and half off the pavement. Second, gently ease off the accelerator. You want to start slowing down, but without upsetting the balance of the vehicle. Third, unless something is directly in your path ahead, do not try to steer back onto the roadway until your speed is lower. Let the car slow as much as possible before trying to get back on the road. Lastly, check for traffic from behind, signal, and turn back onto the road. No problem. But sometimes obstructions like a telephone pole or a parked car necessitate a quicker return to the road. The best steps in this situation are to coast in order to lower your speed as much as you can in the distance you have. Then turn the wheels sharply toward the road. Then, in almost the same motion in the opposite direction, turn back the other way to keep from crossing into a far lane. It's a quick 1-2 left-right action. The most common mistake is panicking and trying to get back on the road too fast, or edging gradually back and having the tires catch the edge of the pavement. The result can be disastrous. As careful as you may be, trouble can happen at any time. When it does, you can brake hard and try to stop, or steer sharply and try to swerve around. We'll start with emergency steering. Although braking can be an effective way to avoid trouble, you need room, and lots of it. But when there isn't enough room, a quick turn is the only alternative. With anti-lock brakes, you can also brake while you're steering. This slows you down and makes the turn a little less tricky. Without anti-lock brakes, there's too great a chance of locking up the wheels and losing control, so it's best to stay off the brake until you've finished your steering and have the wheel pointed straight ahead again. Now, let's apply what you've learned and assess a couple of situations where you'll have to make an emergency maneuver. What are your options here? The car ahead is braking, so you have to do something. You could brake, or, since there's no car to the left, you could change lanes to the left. How about here? Since there's a car to the left, your only option is to aggressively brake to avoid the car ahead. How about this situation? Since there's a car to your right, you only have two options: brake or change lanes to the left. What are your options here? Since there's a car to your left, you only have two options: brake or change lanes to the right. Sometimes, no matter what you do to prevent losing traction, there's no way to avoid it, and you find yourself in a skid. Most skids come from braking too hard, usually on a slippery surface. Sometimes it happens because you try to turn too quickly, and it can happen from trying to accelerate too rapidly. In any type of skid, the most important thing you can do is to continue to look and steer where you want to go. The next most important thing you can do is to avoid slamming on the brakes. Hitting the brakes is a driver's most typical response in any emergency situation. But in a skidding situation, slamming on the brakes will only further upset the vehicle's balance and make it harder for you to regain control. Instead, continue to look and steer where you want to go and ease up slightly on the accelerator. Be ready to turn the steering wheel back in the opposite direction to prevent the vehicle from skidding in the other direction. You may have to turn the wheel back and forth several times to completely line up with the road. The best way to handle skids is to prevent them, but knowing what to do will help, particularly if you run through the steps in your mind frequently.